Good morning, everyone. Here's our story for the day, Chato's Kitchen. It's quite a long story, so you might want to listen to it in two parts. Chato, a low-riding cat with 6 stripes, was slinking towards a sparrow when he heard the scrape of tiny feet coming from the yard next door. Left, right, left, right. Chato's ears perked up. His tail began to swing in the rhythm. He felt the twinge of mambo in his hips. The movement frightened the sparrow, who shot off into the tree. No problemo, homeboy, Chato said to himself and followed his nose to the fence. Through the narrow slats, his eyes grew big as he spied 5 mice, the color of gray river rock. His whiskers vibrated with pleasure, and he leapt onto the fence for a closer look. Yes, it was a whole family of fat, juicy mice moving into the house next door. Chato raked his tongue over his lips and meowed a deep, growling meow. The mice froze with their belongings on their backs. They began to shiver like leaves in the wind. Chato was the tallest cat they had ever seen. Hola, neighbors, Chato purred. Don't be scared of me. I am a cool, low-riding cat. The mice dropped their things and scattered. No problem, I'm okay, Chato reassured, but the yard was empty, and another meow rumbled in his stomach, just barely suppressed. Chato thought for a moment as he stabbed his face into his furry shoulder and chewed the daylights out of a bothersome flea. Aha, he thought, I'll invite them for dinner. Chato jumped down from the fence and returned to his house. On a piece of paper he wrote, Chato welcomes you to the barrio and invites your tasty family for a surprise dinner at 6. Chato immediately saw his area and changed the word tasty to lovely. He folded the invitation into a paper airplane and tossed it over the fence. The airplane spiraled down on a parachute of wind, and Poppy Mouse read it out loud. Should we go, Mommy Mouse asked. Why not, Poppy said. That Chato cat seems very nice. But isn't Chazaro coming over tonight, Mama Mouse asked. That's right, Poppy said. A friend from the old neighborhood was due for dinner. They called him Chazaros or Sausage because, well, that's the kind of guy he was. After much talk, Poppy wrote back, Many thanks for coming, and can we bring a friend? Oh, sure, Chato shouted over the fence. A friend of a friend is a friend of mine. He couldn't believe his luck. Instead of 5 mice for dinner, there would be 6. Chato pranced off to the kitchen to rattle his pots and pans. Whistling a song, he took out beans, perfect for mice, then ripe avocados for guacamole, very nice. And then he checked for some arrozo because, of course, we need rice. As he was piling ingredients on the table, the doorbell rang. It was Chato's best friend, Novio Boy, a cat with soft green eyes, sleek fur, and a lovely growl. Novio Boy also wore a cat collar, a leather one with real gems. Hey, cool cat, what you doing? I am having mice for dinner, served with all the works. The guys got to work. While Chato rolled out the tortillos, with a rolling pin, Novio Boy placed them on the hot griddle, careful not to burn his paws. He flipped them over when one side was baked until both sides were perfect. All afternoon they worked in the kitchen. They cooked beans and made salsa, not too spicy, and a large pitcher of tamarindo. They made fajitas, enchiladas, carne asada, chilies, and finally a flan. While the cats were busy in Chato's kitchen, the mice were settling into their new home. They'd set up a bottle cap for a bathtub, a chip of glass for a mirror, and their matchbox beds all in a line. But then they still remembered as the sun began to drop, they should take a dish to Chato's house. What would they make? Quesadillas, of course, featuring cheese, their favorite ingredient. Soon Chirazo had arrived, and the mice danced in the long shadow of their skinny, low-riding friend. Look what it is. They told him about the party. Oh, little mice, it's time to go to the fiesta. So they all climbed on Chazaro's back, where they clung to his short fur. As if in a limousine, they cruised out in their jungly yard and round the picket fence. Uh-oh, look who they've invited for dinner, a dog. Chato and Novio boy were in the living room grooming themselves. After 5 hours of cooking, they were so hungry that each time a bird swooped past the window, their gray eyes grew narrow and their mouths watered. When they heard a rap on the door, they grinned at each other. It was like a delivery service for pizza, but better still, mice, the main course. We brought chazaro, sausage. Chato and Novio boy danced, and with clean paws, they gave each other a high five. Now we can have sausage and mice, they grinned. But when they opened the door, Chato and Novio boy were faced with a low, road-scraping dog with a barrio of mice on their back. "We're here," shouted everyone. The cool cats didn't know what to say. They didn't hiss or swat. They ran and cowered under the dining room table. Chazaro wagged into the house, his belly bumping over the threshold. He click-clacked on paw nails into the kitchen, his nose picking up beautiful smells. He shivered the mice from his back, and they dropped like gray fruit. "Hello," Chazaro barked politely. The cats. Chazaro and Novio boy scampered from under the table and leapt onto the curtains, where they meowed. "What are you doing?" said Mama Mouse. "Don't tell me you're scared of Chazaro. See, he's a nice dog." Chazaro wagged his tail and let his tongue fall out. Chato and Novio boy looked at each other. They slid down from the curtains and, fur raised, greeted Chazaro with a very cautious meow. Slowly, everyone took their seats. "Well, salute," said Chazaro, "to your health." "Salute," Chato agreed forlornly. He was not going to have any guests to eat tonight. He was not going to have any mice to eat. But he figured it was still a pretty good meal. After all, it came from Chato's kitchen. I think he was hoping to eat the mice for dinner. But the mice had tricked him after all. Well, hope you enjoyed that story. Bye, everyone.